Hello, Midnight Coders, and welcome back to a series where we are going to build a portfolio for you. Now, we have a web page that displays some text. Now, we need to make a login system and a registration system so that we can create a profile and log in or out. So, we're going to be talking a little bit about the rendering engine, what it is, what RESTful APIs are, what database models are, and more importantly, what Spring Security is. So make sure you've got that full cup of coffee, and let's dive on in. What is TimeLeaf? TimeLeaf is a modern server-side Java template engine which is good for web applications. This is because it can be used to render HTML, XML, JavaScript, CSS, and text documents. TimeLeaf's main aim is to provide an elegant but highly maintainable way of creating templates. TimeLeaf also offers seamless integration with Spring Security. With TimeLeaf, we can throw a Pojo at it and it will then interact. We can then interact with it as if we would a regular Java object. We can use if-else statements, compare strings, lists, maps, and so much more. What is a database? A database system is a set of software that is designed to efficiently store, retrieve, and manage data. It is it is an interface between users and raw data. Uh, at its core, a database relies on a database management system, or a DBMS, which provides tools and functionalities for handling data operations like querying, updating, and managing access permissions. What is Spring Security? Spring Security is a customizable authentication and access control framework widely used to secure Spring Boot and Spring MVC projects such as websites, APIs, and specific endpoints. Now, authentication versus authorization. Now, imagine you're at a doctor appointment and you show up to the office, you tell the receptionist who you are, maybe provide your phone number. They tell you to have a seat and let you know that somebody will come and get you soon. That way they can look you up, confirm who you are, verify what you're here for, and see where it is that you're allowed to go in the clinic. After the service is available, somebody comes out and gets you, escorts you to the room that you have access to, and after some more time, another person or doctor will then enter the room, and again they will greet themselves and confirm your identity before they are then free to talk about your medical records and make decisions on what happens. So now let's break that down. Authentication. When you provide your name and normally your phone number, we'll consider this your username and password. So you'll be told to wait while the service is prepared. Now, authorization is once the service is ready, the room for you is where you are allowed to go. So this is where you are permitted to be once the service provider shows up and claims and confirms your identity yet again before going over the data that you're looking to access or manipulate. So, what does that look like in code? Let's have a look. So, so the first thing that we're going to make is going to be uh, we're going to model um, our user. So here we're going to say user, um, and this is going to be that, and we're going to use some getters and setters here because that's just going to make life easier. We are also going to be making this into an entity, which is through the Jakarta persistence. And we are also going to mark this as a table for users. So now, because this is an entity, we need to have an ID, which is in our case is going to be a generated value, and I like to use the UUID um, myself. So here's going to be a private UUID as the ID. Now, next thing we're going to need in here is going to be a username, an email, and a password. That is pretty much it right there. This is actually good. Well, and next we are going to we're going to add a little uh, private local date time created as. This one's not going to be nullable, and just for the record, we're going to make this a pre-persist on create. We're going to set up the time to be right now. Okay, and that is our user. Now, something else that we're going to need is going to be from the DTO side of things when we go to register. So here we're going to make a DTO, and this one is going to be that of a registration request. And this registration request is going to consist of the um, the username, password, repassword, email, private string. What did I call that? Confirm password is what I called that. Okay. Jeepers. Okay, so now we are also going to slap getters and setters in here just so that we have that done. Next, we need, so when somebody does the registration, that gets posted. We need to make an authorization controller. We need a service. We need a repository for this service. So if we happen to, this isn't going to do it for us. No. Okay. So let's go in here, make it this, call it an interface. This is going to be a repository. Repository dot user repository. We spelled that wrong. Kind of funny. Okay. This is going to extend a JPA repository. And we do need to create an optional in here to find by username, ignoring case, because that's going to be used in our service later. So next we're going to need to create a registration service. So now this registration service, this is going to be an at service. It's going to have an at required args constructor. We're going to have private final user repository. And we're going to have something like a public Boolean user exists by username. No, I don't. This is supposed to be find by username dot ignore case dot is present. And then the next one we want to do is a way to save. So we want to have a public void save, and this is going to take in a user and save the user. There we go. So that's our registration service, and next we need a controller. So we're going to go into our controller and we're going to create an auth controller. This auth controller is going to be annotated with controller with required args constructor and with request mapping. And the request mapping is going to be that of API auth. And then we are going to have a private final registration service, import class, okay. Then we're going to get a public string register user. Registration request. I'm going to annotate this with a model attribute. The model attribute will actually wrap the parameters that you pass in to the object that we're looking for here. So now we need a what do we got going on here? So here we need a few things. So we need to first check and make sure that the thing that we're passing in here is not null. So if by chance the request is null, then we are going to redirect. We're going to redirect them back to the registration with an error of no creds. And if by chance, the registration service dot user exists, username, then we redirect them back with the user already exists. And next we want to check to see if, and this is where we're going to come in with a private final bcrypt password encoder, and now this is going to throw a little issue because we don't have any sort of configuration. So let's go and create a config dot security config. Okay, we're going to add this. We're going to come into here, drop this. This is going to be a service. So now we need a few things in here. This is going to need a security chain filter. This is going to be a bean. Public security filter chain, which is just going to be a ILTR filter chain, yes. And it is going to take in an HTTP, if I can type HTTP security, which I'm just going to call HTTP. Boom. And now we're going to return HTTP dot CSRF, and I want to disable these. So we're going to do that with an abstract HTTP configurer, and we're just going to say disable. Next, we're going to come down and say authorize HTTP requests. This is going to take in an auth. Auth is auth. And then we go with request matchers. So the request matchers is going to allow us to come in here and say a few different links that we want to be okay. So we'll do this. We're going to say register is going to be okay. And then we also want slash API slash auth slash everything. Okay. And we want this to be permit all so that we can add another request matcher, which is going to take in a few, just going to do this here. So this is going to take in a blogs all. Oh yes, and this is going to be for just reading. So we're going to say that this is actually an HTTP GET, so that these are only being cleared for GET requests. So we have this, we're going to have CSS slash everything. So we want people to be able to get our CSS stuff. Same thing with our JavaScript if we happen to have any. And of course with our images if we happen to have any. And lastly, maybe we have favcon. It's just favcon, favicon, icon, favicon.ico. Okay, perfect. And these ones here, we are going to also permit all, and then everything else is going to be authenticated. Now, the next thing we want to do is we don't want to handle the login ourselves. So we want Spring to take care of some of the heavy lifting here. So this is going to be an abstract authentication filter configurer, which is going to permit all. And then we're going to have a logos because we also want to handle logging out. And why did that go to this? This is going to be logout, logout, and we are adding, what did I just do there? Okay, we are adding logout handler, and this is where we want to tell it we want a new header writer, and inside here we want a new clear site data? No, yes. Clear site data cookies. That looks ridiculously big. Let's just import that statically. Okay, so that takes care of all of that. Then we're going to add in some headers here, which are just going to simply be disable. And then we're going to build. So that's going to be our security chain. Very basic for now, just handling this. We can make it stronger later in the future if we need to. Now, next thing that we need to do in here is we need to create a bcrypt password encoder. So this is going to be another bean, and this is going to be public bcrypt password encoder equals new bcrypt password encoder. Perfect. So That takes care of this, takes care of that. So now we can come back into our auth and this is okay. And we can simply check to see if the objects don't equal. So objects dot equal. And we can check to see if the get password and the confirm password don't match. Then we tell them there's a mismatch. Otherwise, everything is okay and hunky-dory. So now we can come in and create a new user. And now this being said here, so what we're doing here is we are taking the user, we are setting up the username. I also need to set up the email. There we go. So we're setting up the username, the email, and we're encoding the password. And then we are saving the user to our database. Okay. And next thing we need to do is we are going to need to create a custom user details so that we can handle the login information. Now, oh yes, this is also supposed to have a post mapping of register, and this is going to be the value of register, and then we need to tell this that we are consuming an application triple W form. Okay, so back into our security config, we are going to need to create a custom user detail service. So we're going to pop into here, create this. I'm going to say custom user detail service. Okay, and this is going to extend or implement. User detail service, implement the method, and you're supposed to be implement. Okay, I did think that right. Okay, so this is going to be a service, and I'm going to be cheeky and again go with the required args constructor so that I can come in here and private final user repository, user repository. We're also going to actually come in here and make this null marked because I just want it to be pretty. And next we are going to need um, custom user detail service. Okay, so you're not going to be final because I am going to need to auto wire you, and no, this is not the best way to do it, but we're doing it. Okay, so we need access to, we need to go with the user repository dot find by ignore this username and this is going to be considered our user. And now if the user is present, oh sorry, if the user is not present, if user dot, well, you know what, if user is present, then we are going to return a custom user detail, which I'm going to need to make as well. Otherwise, we are going to throw username not found exception. Okay, so in here, we need to return new, and I don't have a custom user detail yet. That's going to be in the model. Yeah, no, put in DTO. This is going to be custom, not customer, custom user detail. Okay, and this is going to implement User details, and I'm willing to bet you I got that wrong again. Okay, so this could be anything you want to handle here for getting the authorities. Um, now, this password is going to be getting that of um, the user profile that's going to be in here. So we're going to make a private final user. Okay, add the constructor. There we go. So now this here, um, we're just going to say this is a new simple granted authority, and this is going to be that of role user because everybody who logs in is going to get a user role. That can be changed up to your discretion, guys, as you see fit. But for now, this is what's going on. Now, I'm also going to mark this guy with null marked because I want it to be clean. All right, so now we can go pop back into here and we can say new custom user detail and pop in with this guy. There we go. Now we can pop back into here and we can create our something like that, except this is supposed to be user detail service. Okay. And now from here, we're going to need to make ourselves another bean, one last bean. And this guy is going to be that of a public DAO authentication provider. Ba-ba-ba-bum. This is wrong. This goes here. You go here. Good try. Good fight. Okay, why are you not? Okay, so these are actually, this is actually a false warning here right now. It's not actually a warning, or not actually an issue. Uh, all right, so let's fire this up and take a look and see what we got. So we're up and going. We pop here. We get flashbanged. I'm gonna register myself. Glave email. I'm gonna go ahead with a solid password of 2 characters. Sure. Okay. Did that work? Things seem to look fine on our end. And if we pop in, turn that off because this is a memory database. So if I turn that off and we reconnect, look at that. Registered in the database. Perfect. So before this video gets too long, we will talk a little bit about, or we will dive into the portfolio aspect of this in the next video. So make sure you are subscribed so you get notified when we drop the next video or when I drop the next video. And we will dive into creating your portfolio. Now that we have a way that users can register and log in, we will be making it so that you have a home page with a little bit of information. We're going to have a blog page where you'll be able to create a blog, and we'll also have a portfolio spot or a GitHub spot or a showcase page where we can add multiple GitHub links and have them rendered up on the screen. So make sure you've got that. Make sure you keep your curiosity open, your skills sharp, and that coffee cup full. I'll catch you in the next one, guys.